With us now is Jonathan Schanzer from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you very much. What's on the king's mind, would you say?
Well, the king has quite a bit on his plate right now. He's got problems at home that are economic in nature, but also a bit of political unrest, which has been ongoing because of the COVID crisis. And before that, just some political unrest among those that have been unhappy with the economic situation. So he's got that on his plate, but he has decided to really direct much of his attention to the question of Israel and its policies in Jerusalem, its policies on the Palestinian front. This, I believe, is probably his greatest grievance as he goes to the White House to speak about what's going on in the region.
I guess the bigger question is, will the Biden administration be willing to step in, like other administrations before, to really get into negotiations here in the Middle East? What are the prospects of this?
I think the prospects are quite low, and I think that's probably a good thing. There are many other major problems that are looming. Of course, we've got a war in Ukraine right now that needs some resolution. There is the growing threat of China. There are broader economic challenges across the region. So the idea that the United States would spend significant political capital in trying to address a problem that is more than a century old, that has not yielded much in the way of results over the years, I think is unlikely. But that does not mean that the U.S. will not be engaged with Jordan, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and other allies in the region. The U.S. still needs to have influence in the region. It needs to have a modicum of control over the alliance structure that it created. Of course, the United States is trying to exit the region and to pivot toward the Far East, but the Middle East still cannot be ignored, and I think that's been acknowledged by officials in this administration.
According to the Jordanian royal court, they also discussed the consequences of the Ukraine crisis. What does it mean?
It essentially means that oil and grain are now going to be more expensive. And for countries like Jordan that are already under significant economic duress, this is not good news. The Jordanians are really in bad shape as it relates to their own natural resources. They're already importers of grain. They're importers of oil. And now that's going to become more expensive. So I'm sure they're looking for solutions from the United States and from some of their other allies right now. And I'm sure that is a primary topic of conversation during the king's visit.
So we're talking mainly financial aid.
Yes, financial aid, but don't forget that also the Jordanians rely significantly upon the United States for military assistance. And now what we're finding is that a lot of that military assistance that maybe the United States would have been more inclined to provide countries like Jordan or even Israel, there's a lot of pressure to send that to Ukraine to make sure that the Ukrainians have what they need in order to fight. Now, this will not impact, for example, Jordan's recent order of F-16 aircraft. That's not what's going to be sent to Ukraine. But it does raise questions about how much bandwidth we have to provide other armaments to some of our allies in the region.
Jonathan Schanzer, thank you very much.
Thank you.